If you're looking for a high-performance super sedan, the BMW M3 has been the king for years. However, a little over a decade ago, Audi stepped into the segment with their own offering known as the RS5, a high-performance version of the company's very popular A5 Coupe and Sportback. And back in 2018, Audi followed it up with an all-new second generation, replacing the sonorous 4.2-liter V8 with a Porsche-derived twin-turbocharged V6. Now, sadly, enthusiasts criticized Audi because the current generation RS5 was known for a slightly stoic personality in terms of sound and handling dynamics, but last year the company is offering a fix in the form of this vehicle. This is a 2024 Audi RS5 with the new competition package, and what this package offers is a new coilover suspension system, a new direct steering system, and an even louder RS-tuned sport exhaust. So as you can see, this week we have gotten a hold of this Sebring Black Crystal Pearl Effect RS5 Sportback with the competition package, and the big question I went answered. For those of you who have been looking for an all-wheel drive super sedan that isn't a BMW M3, how does the latest version of the RS5 competition stack up? Stay tuned to find out. Now, before we start talking about the exterior design of this particular RS5 Sportback, I thought I'd pop the hood and show you guys what's powering this thing, because just like BMW's M division or Mercedes' AMG division, when there's an RS badge on an Audi, you know this thing is going to be fast, and this thing definitely puts out some very impressive numbers. Now, as I said in the intro, this engine, which again is unchanged versus when this car first came out back in 2018, is a Porsche-derived 2.9-liter gasoline direct injection twin turbocharged V6. So again, that old 4.2-liter naturally aspirated V8 was replaced with this. You'll find essentially this engine in vehicles like the Porsche Macan GTS. You also could find it in the Porsche Panamera. And it is a wonderful engine. In this vehicle here, it pumps out 444 horsepower and 442 pound-feet of torque. It has two turbochargers feeding in, I believe, a maximum of around 21.8 pounds of boost pressure. So again, pretty high-strung engine. But in terms of horsepower, this actually had less horsepower than the V8 by 6, but it has like a whopping 120-ish more pound-feet of torque, and you get that torque at a much lower RPM. It all goes out through an 8-speed ZF Source torque converter automatic, and of course it's an Audi. It has the standard company's Quattro all-wheel drive system with a sport rear differential, so it essentially acts like a limited slip rear differential. Fuel economy, in case you're wondering, is rated at 18 in the city, 25 on the highway. This engine does not have the company's 48-volt mild hybrid system that you find in something like the S5 or the A5. But with a 15-gallon fuel tank, you're looking at around 300 miles of range. Please be sure to put premium gas in this thing. Audi claims the competition package with the software tuning or reflash gets to 60 in about 3.6 seconds. It's about 0.1 seconds faster than the non-competition version. It has a top speed of 180 miles an hour with the competition package, of course. And as this vehicle sits, Audi actually reduced the weight by about 35 pounds compared to the non-competition. So this vehicle comes in at just over 4,000 pounds, which again is on the lighter end of the segment, especially with that new electrified plug-in hybrid C63S, which is roughly around 800 pounds heavier than this. Now, one of the things I want to talk about is Audi said for the competition model, they actually removed around 18 pounds of sound insulation in between the engine and the cabin. So in the firewall area, that allows for a more sonorous sound to come in through into the cabin, and it's a much more natural sound as well. But let's go ahead and close up this hood and talk about the exterior styling. Now, check out this color, guys. You can see in this gorgeous bright sun, this Sebring Black Crystal Pearl Effect actually looks more like a very, very indigo dark blue. It's absolutely gorgeous. You can tell this is the competition package because it's going to come standard, of course, with the Audi single frame grille, which is blacked out. So you have the black Audi rings, you have the black RS5 badge, and then, of course, you have the company's latest version of their full LED headlights with sequential LED turn signals, LED daytime running lights. You actually have a laser high beam technology in the headlights. They are extremely bright at night. And then down here, these look like fog lights, but they're actually just the sensor for the radar cruise control. You have parking sensors that are well integrated. And then the competition package adds the matte carbon fiber in the actual front bumper and the front splitter. And you can see there are functional vents. There's a hexagonal pattern in the actual grille. You have a nicely integrated camera system. And overall, this car, I think, even though it has been on the market for a few years now, it still looks absolutely fantastic, especially in the right color combination with the competition package. But let me know in the comment section below I'm really happy that Audi offers the RS5 in a Sportback configuration as well, because as you move to the side profile, you can see this thing has much more practicality versus the coupe version and versus an M3 at a wheelbase of around 111 inches long with an overall length of 188.3 inches long. This is around 2 inches longer in the wheelbase and the overall length versus the coupe version of this car. There is no RS4 here in America, in case you guys are wondering. Now, looking at the wheels, I want you guys to ignore these wheels because it is basically end of February here in the PA area, and these are the winter tires that Audi has put on the car with these 19-inch winter wheels. These are actually the base forged 19-inch wheels that you get on all RS5s. This car is supposed to come with a 20-inch Y-spoke bicolor wheel, which has a much wider offset. It also is going to fix the kind of weak look that this car has. These are wrapped in a 235 by 40 R19 Pirelli P0 or Pirelli Soto Zero winter high performance tire. This car is supposed to come with a Pirelli P0 Corsa tire, which is our compound track tire basically for the street. However, when it's 30 degrees outside, you don't want to be driving on that. The big change for 2024 is the fact that Audi now removed the carbon ceramic brakes on the competition package for 2024. So you have this 15-inch cross-drilled rotor at the front, clamped down by a 6-piston caliper. You have a 13-inch rotor at the back. Red-painted brake calipers are included. Obviously, if you guys want the carbon ceramics, they are not available that I noticed on 2024. But still, these are very powerful brakes. The suspension on this car has also been lowered. So as you can see, this car almost looks like it's on like airbags, or it's squatting really bad. And that's because, again, these skinny tires, this car should have a 275 width, so they're 40 millimeters thinner or narrower versus the stock. But again, with the right wheels, the wheels would be pushed out a little bit more. But the car right now, it sits on that coilover suspension system, which you can manually lower it with a tool in the back. It's 0.4 inches lower normally, and then you can lower it further to be 0.8 inches lower. And right now, I think the car is in its 0.4 inch lower standard setting. And that's again why it looks like it's slammed to the ground. Let me know in the comment section below if you guys like the lowered stance. It definitely improves the handling dynamics. The steering in the car is now a fixed 13:1 ratio as opposed to the variable ratio. And that's what you get, of course, improving the handling of the competition model. Now you can see the mirrors, they are a matte carbon fiber finish to them, which looks fantastic. It's got integrated turn signals, they're power folding, of course, and then you have this standard panoramic glass roof, which is definitely nice. You can't get something like this on, I believe, the BMW M3. All the chrome trim is also blacked out with the competition package. And then looking at the profile from here, you can see just a very understated but still very aggressive and premium look to it. I really hate the way this car looks, however, with those winter wheels that Audi put on this car. Again, the standard 20-inch competition wheels really just finish off the whole look of this thing. Now, looking at the rear, you can see it really just looks like the standard RS5. You have this very tastefully integrated spoiler at the back. You have full LED taillights with the dynamic turn signals. You have the black rings and the black RS5 badging, of course. You have this more aggressive rear diffuser area, and then you also have the matte carbon fiber carrying over into the rear splitter. And then down here you have the signature big dual exhaust tips, which are blacked out. This also comes standard with the Audi Sport exhaust. It sounds phenomenal, very Porsche-like with tons of burbles and crackles. So let's go ahead and fire it up. You can hear how this engine sounds. And if you guys are looking at an RS5, I highly recommend going for the competition package, or at least getting the dynamic package, which includes the RS-tuned Sport exhaust system. Now, looking at the cargo area, what I love about the Sportback is the fact that it is a hatchback, and that means you get more cargo space versus the coupe. The coupe, I think, only has 10 cubic feet. This model offers nearly 22 cubic feet with the seats up. You can see there's some nice little storage area to the side of the vehicle. You can also fold down the seats to increase that, although Audi doesn't say what the total cargo is. It's probably just under 40 cubic feet. You can see underneath the floor here, there's actually a temporary spare tire, which I didn't expect, so you don't have to deal with a fix-a-flat kit. And then in case you're wondering, this right here is the little tool that you need to adjust the suspension for the car. So you have to actually remove the wheel and get underneath the car to manually lower or increase the ride height, which is kind of a pain in the butt. But again, factory coilovers on a production car like this, it makes the RS5 super unique, and I think most people who are serious about track driving are going to appreciate that. So moving on to the interior of this latest generation RS5 competition. Before we get inside, however, let me show you guys the key fob. You can see this is the current Audi corporate key. It does remind you that you have a special Audi by saying RS on the back of the fob. I love the size of this key. It feels really high quality. It looks good, and it has usual buttons here for unlock, lock. You can also remote open the trunk and use the panic feature. Sadly, Audi does not offer a remote start feature from the actual fob, which is something that its competitors have been adding in recent years. Now, if you can see here, the door handle is a very traditional design. There's a little area here where you can touch that will lock the car. It has that signature Audi chirp. The mirrors will also fold in. The Audi does not offer a walkaway auto lock or unlock feature, which again, I really want Audi to eventually add that. The BMW has been having that for years. Touch the back of the door handle here. You can see the door handle swings toward you, and that's how you open up the door. Now, if you guys don't like black interior, you're gonna be out of luck if you want the competition package, because all you get basically are these pearl Napa leather seats with the Dynamica suede inserts. Now, this black color is your only color option, sadly. In Europe, I believe Audi offers like a racing bucket seat, but you can't get that here in America. You can see the seats themselves look aggressive. They have that kind of diamond quilted stitching, where it has the pearl Napa leather here, along with the suede insert here with the RS badge. I kind of wish that Audi would have done red stitching here, or would have done a red accent here, red stitching, contrast stitching. You do have the red edging on the seat belts, which is included with the competition package. These seats also adjust in like 16 different ways. They are heated, but not ventilated. So you cannot get ventilated seats with this interior color or this interior fabric material. Or at any price, I believe, which is a little bit of a shame. The floor mats, you can see, have that Audi RS badging on it that is unique to the competition model. And you can see your massage seat function is here. And you also have that thigh extender. In terms of the door panel, you can see you have a slightly soft touching material here, although some competitors offer actual leather. You have this matte carbon fiber around the interior, which looks fantastic. You have two-person memory. You have piano black. You have an aluminum accented door handle, padded area here with more of the suede. Down here, you can see it's slightly padded. You have a little bit of storage here, and then this car also comes standard with Audi's Bang & Olufsen stereo, which sounds good in case you guys get tired of listening to that lovely exhaust system. Now, getting inside, this vehicle definitely has that low step-in height, especially considering the fact that it already is lower compared to the regular RS5. Now, as I get in and shut the door has a nice solid sounding thunk, which again adds to that impression of quality. Now, getting inside, you can see to start the vehicle up, the start-stop button is located slightly lower in the actual dash of the vehicle, or it's technically, I guess, in the console. You can see starting it up, it has a traditional starter noise because, again, this car does not have a 48-volt mild hybrid system. Now, one of the cool things about the RS5 competition package is you can actually start the vehicle up in dynamic mode. So if it usually defaults to auto, but if you actually just turn the vehicle on before hitting the brakes, you can actually switch it to dynamic, so it'll give you an even louder starter. When you switch it to dynamic, take a listen. Kind of a low rev limiter, but it still has a lovely sound to it. So love the fact that Audi, took away 18 pounds of sound deadening, and they also made the exhaust louder. It just adds to the whole visceral experience of the car, which is important when you're looking at this particular segment of vehicle. Now, the rest of this cabin, you can see, hasn't really changed in the last 3 years. Audi did give it a refresh in 2021, where they went to a bigger 10.1-inch display. You have the standard 12.3-inch virtual cockpit display, which you can basically, customize by changing the view here. You can kind of do put your radio information, your phone information, of course. You have a big GPS that you can also put in here, where it also includes Google Earth. That looks fantastic. You can go to a standard view here, and then if you push the RS button here, you can actually see it takes you to a more of like a race card look, where it actually puts a tack where it looks like 2 tire tread marks, which the revs actually come towards you when you do that. So very cool display. Love the customization, love the graphics. It still looks fantastic, even though this car is starting to get old in terms of tech. Now, in terms of the steering wheel, you can see you have an all Alcantara wheel, which is included with the competition package. This looks good for now, but over the years, it's gonna start to look really crappy when the oils from your hands start to basically rub the finish down to make it smooth. You have these paddles on the wheel, which are mounted to the wheel, a little bit small, but they are metal, which is nice. I would have liked to see Audi do a flat bottom design, but you can see RS badging here. The steering wheel itself has a manual tilt and telescoping function. This car also comes standard with adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist. That's all standard for 2024. Audi's side zone blind spot assist, however, is optional for $500. The turn signals, they have that typical high quality feel to them, which is nice. And then the horn it sounds appropriate given the size of this vehicle. Now the technology package also rolls in that heads-up display. You have a soft touch injection molded plastic along the upper dash. Some competitors offer a full leather feel and look. You can see more of that matte carbon fiber. This reminds you you've got a all-wheel drive with the Quattro badge here. I do like the way the dash vents look. Again, everything is very traditional, and also it has that very satisfying clicky feel that Audis are known for. You can see you've got triple zone automatic climate control. You have your drive mode selector here, which you can again adjust the drive mode between comfort, auto, and dynamic. There's also an RS1 and RS2, which you can kind of go into customize it if you'd like to your liking. Love again the clicky feel of the buttons, which is nice. And then you swipe over here to the right, you can see there's the Audi MMI interface. It does have again GPS included for $1,500. If you guys want factory GPS with the Google Earth view, you can also have it there in the screen as well, which is nice. Apple CarPlay is wireless. You can see my phone is connected wirelessly. And while the screen is small at 10.1 inches compared to the BMW or the Mercedes, it still looks, appropriate, and it's still easy to use. I did notice the software is starting to lag at times, especially when you first start the vehicle up. So again, Audi is probably going to have a new system coming for the next generation model, so I'll be curious to see what it looks like. Again, we do have a dual screen setup in something like the new A6 and A7. Now down here you can see there's a USB-A port. You have a 12-volt power outlet. There's a lot of piano black plastic trim over here, which I don't particularly love. There's more of that matte carbon fiber. This right here is a storage area where it's like perfect for your keys or your wallet, for example. There used to be an MMI controller here, but Audi got rid of that when they went to a touchscreen back in 2021. If I put the vehicle into reverse, you can see there's your backup camera where it has trajectory and distance markers, of course. It also has an automatic parallel parking function via there and parking sensors. If you push this button here, you can also go to like several different views. You can go to like a top-down view, and it shows you, again, everything around the vehicle. That's all very important, of course, when you're trying to park this vehicle. You don't want to curb those 20-inch wheels, although the 19s on mine look hideous. You can see electronic parking brake, a little bit more storage here. Audi also gives you a volume knob here, which is definitely a nice touch. The transmission selector, you have to push this trigger, push it forward to go into or up to go to drive, or reverse, and then kick it back to go to drive. There's also a sport mode in the transmission as well. Push that P button to go to park. Center console area you can see is nice and padded. It also does adjust. You can also lift it up to reveal some more storage here. Your wireless phone charging pad is right here, and you have another USB-C charging port here. The seats, you can see they are pretty comfortable and supportive, and they hold you in place nicely. You can also adjust the bolster here to squeeze or unsqueeze you, and then if you push this button over here, you can see it brings up the massage function. There's 3 different types of massage. My favorite is the Wave. It also has 3 different intensities. It's also here on the passenger seat. That's standard on the RS5, which is an unexpected touch given this class of vehicle. There is some ambient lighting in the car where it has some nice interchangeable ambient lighting, although Audi, I would prefer that they do more ambient lighting along the dashboard as well. It's kind of in the footwells, it's in the door pockets. But Mercedes and BMW definitely do even more intricate ambient lighting, but that could be something that some of you would not prefer. Above me here, you can see there's some LED map lighting. You have this nice sunroof, which gives you a nice power retractable shade, and you also can open this up to vent air. It goes a little bit into the backseat area, but it's not a full pano roof, but again, it's slightly better versus what you get in the BMW M3. But overall, as you can see, the cabin is definitely still very well put together. There's not a squeak or rattle. The build quality is high. Materials could be more luxurious, but and the tech could be more impressive, but again, it's not overwhelming and in your face like what you're going to find from some of the competitors. Moving to the back seat of the RS5 Sportback, this is where you're going to appreciate the sedan body style, the 4-door body style, because you do get about 2 inches more legroom versus the coupe. Audi says you have just over 35 inches of legroom, and you can sit 3 people across, although it's going to be a little bit tight. In terms of the materials back here, you can see same material, soft touch, slightly soft touch upper door panel trim, carbon fiber padded area here, metal accented door handle, which is nice. And then getting inside, you can see the sloping roof definitely requires you to duck your head, which otherwise you're going to bang it up against the ceiling. As I close the door, you can see the door has that same solid sounding thunk. You have a nice clicky feel to the window controls. All 4 of the windows are one touch up down. You can see back in the rear seat area, I'm surprised to see that there is your own separate climate control. So it's a triple zone climate control. You have rear seat vents, you have 3 level heated seats, 2 USB-A charging ports, a power outlet here. You can see there's a big hump for the middle passenger, so this is going to be a little bit of a tight squeeze. If I fold this down here, you can see there is an armrest that comes out. You can see open this up. This gives you a little bit of storage. You have 2 cup holders. Interesting way that they pop out, of course. And then you also can fold this seat down. You can see the seat themselves, they actually don't recline, but if you want to fold the seat down, you can see it definitely expands the cargo capacity. It's not a completely flat floor. It has a slightly, you know, a little bit of an angled slope. And then if I look at the headroom space,
cannot give you any destination information.
Not sure why the car decided to do that. When you look at the headroom space, you can see as I lean back here, my head gets somewhat close to the ceiling. So if you're over 6 feet, it's going to take up headroom space. Obviously the sunroof does take up a little bit, but there's a nice carved out area here that allows for some headroom space. But overall, if you need to use this as a family vehicle, the Sportback has decent amount of space. I think it's pretty comparable to the last M3 sedan that I tested. So it amazes me that I've been doing these car reviews for well over a decade, and this is actually my first time driving and showing you guys a full review on the Audi RS5. Now this vehicle has been in the US for a little over a decade now, and it's been challenging the BMW M3 and the M4 and the Mercedes-AMG C63. And while we are expecting a new generation A5 to show up by the end of the year, the RS5 probably won't be around until the following year. And then maybe even the year after that, because there's always a delay. But this model here should not be overlooked, because what we're dealing with is a 2.9 liter twin turbo V6 from Porsche. And the competition package, while it doesn't add any more horsepower, it obviously adds more grip. Now, sadly, I am driving around on these skinny 235 with 19-inch wheels on Pirelli P0 Soto, or Pirelli Soto Zero winter tires. So we're not gonna get the full grip that the competition package is supposed to give us, but since I've never 0 to 60 tested this vehicle, let's go ahead and see what we can get. Now to get the best time, you want to put the stability control into its sport mode, put it into RS2 mode, and I got 3.4 seconds in an M3, so let's see what we can get in this car. Oh my God, tunnel vision. The front wheels actually slipped a tad because, again, they're about 40 millimeters narrower than what they should be, but we just got 3.3 seconds 0 to 60. And Audi, I believe, claims 3.6. So that time is right at the same level as the last M3 competition X-Drive that I tested, and we're on winter tires. So this car does have launch control. You have to let the rev build up, you have to let the boost build up a little bit for like a couple seconds, and then it'll say launch control active. But man, this thing just shoots off the line, and it makes a huge difference because this V6 does have noticeable turbo lag when you don't have it, or when you don't launch the vehicle, but still, it is absolutely ferocious. But let's go ahead and try it here again. This time it's slightly more uphill. We'll build up the revs. That 8-speed also just shifts so fast. Okay, we got 3.4 seconds there. That's with it more going slightly uphill. So that is a very impressive time. And it shows, even though this car is down about 50 horsepower compared to the M3, it's down a whopping like 230 horsepower compared to the new AMG C63 SE performance. This car still, again, should not be overlooked because of how underrated the Porsche-derived V6 is, because of the 8-speed auto, which is just absolutely quick and snappy with its gear changes, but also very, very smooth. And then with this new competition package, we've got that coilover suspension where it's lowered almost a ½ inch. We've got a 13:1 direct steering ratio. It's still electric, but that variable steering ratio has been swapped out. We've got that sport-tuned exhaust, the RS sport-tuned exhaust. Oh, listen to the burbles and the cracks. Oh. It reminds me exactly of that Porsche Macan GTS that I last drove, but this car has about 10 more horsepower than the Macan. And it also has a little bit less weight, I think like 400 pounds less weight. But this car weighs in at around 4,000 pounds, and it shocks me because the handling dynamics of this car are unlike any other Audi that I've driven. Audis tend to be a little bit nose heavy, they tend to push, but not so with this car. This car feels a lot more rear drive biased, and when you put your foot down, oh my God, that's just fantastic. This thing just puts a huge smile on my face, and it does it in a way that feels more like a BMW. This car feels more rear drive happy, more tail happy. It makes all the right noises. I never had a chance to drive the RS5 without the competition package, but man, does this thing truly just feel like a proper super sedan. Let's try it here again. Launch control active. Woo-hoo-hoo! Oh, 3.3 there. So again, all very effective times. And it's just insane. It is absolutely insane how fast this car is. Oh, I'm in love. But let's take it out of RS mode here, because most people probably won't drive this car in RS mode. You'll probably end up just driving this car in just its dynamic setting. But to get it out of RS mode, you basically just push this little RS button, and now I'm back into dynamic mode. In this mode, it still feels very aggressive. Listen to that exhaust, guys. Oh. I love the burbles and cracks. I mean, I have not had a chance to drive obviously the C43 or C63 with their 4 cylinders, but this kind of has a very similar character to the last M3 that I drove with its turbocharged twin turbo 3-liter inline 6. So it's a completely different animal than the S5 that I last tested, which was 2 years ago. This car definitely feels properly more like a super sedan versus the sports sedan that the S5 is. So there's a big difference. Obviously, for an extra 22 grand, you expect Audi to kind of give you that difference, but hey, this is fantastic. Now, the one great thing about this car, I'm going to switch the drive mode selector, which I don't like how Audi puts it all the way over here. I kind of wish it was closer to the steering wheel as opposed to, you know, all the way over here on the dash. You do have that RS button, but again, to put it into its comfort setting here, in this mode, the baffle and the exhaust closes up. It feels a lot more like a luxury car, and it just quiets down. And the other great thing about this car is the fact that we're on coilover suspension. It's lowered, of course. We've got these winter tires on 19s. I haven't had a chance to drive this car with the 20s that it comes with, but the ride quality in this RS5 competition is just unbelievable. It has an uncanny smoothness that I have not experienced in this segment. Now, obviously, I've driven the M3, I've driven the Giulia. They all have a much more firmer ride that just feels a lot more bouncy. The BMW, if you put it into its comfort setting, it does quiet down, but not the way that this Audi does. And that's the wonderful thing about Audi's RS performance division, is you can daily drive this car in a manner that's just absolutely livable on a daily basis. And I think that's what people are going to really just appreciate with this car, because you just don't get that same kind of daily drivability that you get in the other cars. I mean, yes, you can daily drive them, but they constantly feel too stiff. But not this car. Even with its coilover suspension, without the adaptive dampers that you get, it's still, you know, put it into RS5 or RS mode again, everything wakes up, but the ride is still very tolerable. So that truly does shock me. I am genuinely shocked. Now, in terms of fuel efficiency, this car is rated at 1825. It'll do about 300 miles on a full tank because it has a small 15-gallon fuel tank, but on premium gas, of course. I averaged around 17 in my mixed driving and mostly city. On the highway, I averaged around 24 when I was going about 75 miles an hour. Slow down to around 65. This thing will easily do 27 mpg, which is pretty darn good. This is not an electrified 48-volt hybrid system like you get in some of the competing vehicles or in the S5. So again, the fuel efficiency is surprisingly decent, but I want to test out 0 to 60 here without launching it, so we'll just floor it and see what the difference is. I'm still in RS2 mode. I'll turn the stability control back on. Definitely noticeably slower, but man, once that turbo kicks in, 3.9, so there you go. It reduces the 0 to 60 by about a half a second when you guys don't use the launch control. So that's what you could expect in real world times, but man, that launch control makes a huge difference. 3.3 is just insane. And of course, the next gen RS5 we hear is gonna have this V6 with a plug-in hybrid powertrain. So they'll add the electrification. That again should improve the 0 to 60 even further to maybe even below 3 seconds, but it will increase the weight. But this car really proves that Audi was listening to their customers, because when people complained that the non-competition version of this car was just too boring, too bland, too quiet, they really upped everything by removing the sound insulation from the firewall to the engine. It just improves the sound quality, improves the experience. The handling of this car feels incredibly balanced, feels more rear drive-like, and it just shocks me. This car truly is the ultimate driving Audi super sedan. So even though Audi's bestseller here in America is obviously the Q5 SUV, in 2023, Audi said that they managed to move just under 24,000 A5s. That includes the A5 Coupe and the A5 Sportback, along with the S5 and of course the RS5. Now, in terms of the RS5, that only accounted for just under 1,100 sales, so it's roughly 5% of the sales mix, but it's also nice to see that the take rate is roughly 80-20. People tend to buy the Sportback. About 80% of RS5 buyers tend to choose choose the Sportback, and it's pretty easy to see why. And after spending a full week with this model here, the most hardcore version of the RS5 minus these really wimpy looking winter tires, I am just blown away with how good this car is. Even though Audi is set to replace the RS5 and the A5 later this year, and there's rumors, of course, of this being a plug-in hybrid with that twin turbocharged V6. This model here should, however, not be ignored, because as you guys saw, 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds makes this thing about as quick as the current generation BMW M3 competition with xDrive, although the Beamer will probably be faster in the quarter mile, and in terms of just going down the road a little bit faster, the BMW is going to be quicker, but the Audi is the more comfortable and more practical option, because as you guys saw, the ride and handling dynamics have been totally transformed, and while it's not quite as sharp as the last M3 competition or CS that I drove, this thing comes pretty darn close. But unlike the BMW, you don't have to deal with that back-breaking ride that you get with the Beamer. And so that's something that Audi is very proud of, the fact that you have a much more comfortable ride, a quieter interior, you have a slightly more spacious back seat with much more cargo capacity, because BMW doesn't offer the M3 in the Grand Coupe version like you can get in the 4 Series, of course. If they're, in terms of quibbles, they're pretty minor. I mean, the infotainment system is definitely getting dated, the screen is small, but some of you may really appreciate the fact that this car still has knobs and buttons, which you don't typically find anymore in this segment, especially the new M3 and the C63. Everything's going to those massive touchscreens. We don't know, of course, yet what Audi's next generation MMI interface is going to look like, but my recommendation, if you guys prefer something a little bit more visceral, more mechanical, and less overwhelming in terms of tech, put one of these at the very top of your list, because again, a new version is coming, but this model, the outgoing version or the current version, should definitely not be ignored. Now, if you're looking to put one of these in your driveway, it's going to cost you a pretty penny, because again, this is the pinnacle of the A5 S5 family, and it has a base price of just under $80,000, $79,900 to be exact. The Sportback configuration is about $300 more than the Coupe. I think it's worth every penny. It's just a more practical car to live with on a day-to-day basis. Now, of course, the competition package adds about $10,700. That sounds steep, but it's actually around $6,000 cheaper versus the 2023 model. That's because Audi took away the carbon ceramic brakes, add in the upcharge for the color, the technology package that rolls in the head-up display, the 360 camera, the automatic parallel parking feature, of course. And my tester here comes in at a grand total of $94,870. So just under $95,000. Again, it sounds like a lot of money, but if you guys comparably add, the options to an M3 competition xDrive that matches this car in terms of equipment, the BMW is just under $100,000, so it's about $5,000 more. We don't have final pricing of the new e-Performance C63S, but that car should probably start at around $100,000, because again, it adds a lot more complexity and weight, and the plug-in hybrid powertrain makes it more expensive. So again, it kind of makes the Audi a little bit of a bargain. Now, should you guys get the competition versus a regular RS5, because you could theoretically just add the dynamic package, the sport package, to a regular RS5, and what you basically are going to be lacking is the direct steering system and the coilover suspension. So really, if you look at it that angle, the competition package is only around $1,700 more. It actually is a bargain when you look at it from that proposal. My recommendation, unless you guys plan to regularly be tracking the car, I'd say just maybe even skip this, but the ride quality is not affected by this model, and if you guys, have to deal with swapping out the tires, you can obviously get another set of wheels, because you won't be wanting to be driving on those Corsa Pirelli P0s on a full-time basis, especially if you live in a colder area like myself. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on this 2024 Audi RS5 with the competition package. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.